Hello, I am the cartoonist M. Rashid. I I ended my about blurb on my channels with the saying I look forward to the comment discussions, but I see under my BitChute comments a lot of poor quality posted under there. There's one, like the latest one, at least the guy actually tried. He actually watched the video and met me where I was. All the rest of them that I see, they're using some kind of blanket template. Here's a black guy saying stuff. Let's just use our blanket template and post. What I'm saying, I'm watching CNN. I don't even watch CNN. I don't get my talking points from CNN. But he's like saying just canned how white racists talk about black people. Canned comment. And then, like, as a straw man, you inventing an argument for me based on your stereotypes and white conservative political talking points, and then calling me an idiot. You invented this fake argument that has nothing to do with my message in any way, shape, or form. Even how I present the reparations movement as filtered through the scholarship of the activists I adore has nothing to do with what you come up with. Y'all repeat the exact same nonsense across all social media. And then when I don't take you seriously, because I've been arguing with these knuckleheads for years now, and they say the same stuff. When they call themselves profiling me as a black social justice warrior, their profile isn't real. It's based on stereotypes that they first invented in 1870 and just repeat ad nauseum. They don't, facts and truth is kryptonite, holy water to the white racists. Because they what are they going to do with it? They can't use facts and truth because their whole shtick, and yes, I'm using the Yiddish term on purpose because I know it triggers you. Their whole shtick is to invent a false narrative based on their wanting to be demigod, the highest evolved human mythology. They create this false narrative inside of a bubble. Inside of the bubble, they manufacture an internal logical consistency. And in order to defend it, they have to draw you inside of the bubble. Against your better judgment, if you're Black American, and if you're white, who, if you're young and white and want to do the right thing because you haven't been built up into the white supremacist aristocracy yet, you still have a soft mind and willing to see the good. If you're that type of white person, they have to come at you a different way to draw you into the web. So once inside of the bubble, then they can just spin you around inside of the logical consistency of the narrative they fabricated. And if they can successfully keep you in there, then they win. They've successfully defended their dissertation. What they can't do is have you outside of the bubble poking holes in it from an objective truth place. Then they'll just run. They'll deflate and run if you try to do that. The only way they could argue is to create a false narrative made out of straw men and stereotypes pull you inside of that narrative where their like system of internal logical consistencies function, and they can like defend it from that, fictional fanboy place, and then they win from their side. If you allow yourself to be pulled into that nonsense, then they win. If you stay on the outside of their bullshit narrative, I apologize for the profanity. If you stay on the outside of their nonsensical narrative and just poke holes from objective truth and the facts of history that they left on the cutting room floor while building their nonsense narrative, they cannot stay there. Their house of cards is built out of lies, nonsense, gaslighting, the trance of the fiend, the brutality of the conservative. That's all they have. Lies and nonsense. Not once does truth come out of their mouth. Certainly not on purpose. If they accidentally tell the truth, just treat it like a lie. Put a pin in it and set it somewhere. That's the nature of my relationship with this goon. He speaks with a forked tongue as legend. All you do is lie. All right, so that was my aside. Let's get to the actual cartoon of the day. This cartoon is the second one that I've made that was actually created as a cover for one of these videos. The other one was the one where my activist character is holding up the sign saying, "We are here. ADOS is here," that I made for the Who is ADOS video. This one I made just for this video here. And the point of it is, outside of 4chan, there's another site. There's a few of them that found my work and have been talking trash and spinning what my message is, helping lead to this video series, to like WordOfGod set the record straight from the TV trope definition of WordOfGod. So this particular character is a white supremacist. He denies it, but literally his entire position, worldview is the white supremacist one. So he's denying, I'm not a white supremacist, I'm not a racist. Literally, you believe the entire literal playbook of the white supremacist. So how are you not? Just because he's saying so. Your will is not strong enough to convince me otherwise for no other reason than because you said it. The facts reveal that you are a white supremacist and a piece of crap. So this particular character, he's from Denmark. And he created this like entire web page dedicated to spinning my work in a white supremacist way. When I first found the main forum, a message board site that he was on, I noticed that they had the name of the site is Bad Webcomics. So the entire point of it is to find webcomics they don't like and then make fun of it in a dedicated forum for the purpose, and leave it out there for people. So I found the site where somebody like briefly I was making cartoons for a Democratic Party space, or a proto space, back in Cora a few years ago. But I told them up front that I'm not doing my work just for partisan. Like, I do my work about anti-racism in general, and if stuff happens to fall in a certain way, it'll look that way. But the recruiter was like, I don't know, we don't mind. We just want you to create. So I, formally went to this space and was creating my cartoons in the early days of my editorial project. And it didn't take long for me to start making cartoons about that side of the partisan aisle. and these dedicated, hardcore, white Democratic Party people, Quarrens, started commenting. And since 85 to 90% of my cartoons are the response to something somebody said to me or said about my work, then the cartoons started being more and more critical of the Democratic Party and their rhetoric. And then it started going a certain way, and then they were like, you know what? We don't think you're the right fit for art, and then they like released me as the official cartoonist of this particular space. So one of these guys at the Webcomics forum saw my cartoons there and saw that I was cranking them out every day. And then he brought it to this site and said, should we use this as like the next feature of our webcomics? And they looked at it work and were like, nah, and then they abandoned it, But this was a public message board post so I saw this like brief dialogue about my work, and with this subjective, people were saying, well, it is really bad, but and then they were talking about it in general. But I want to hear more. I want you're presenting subjective opinions as universal truth. So I need to walk that down. What does that mean? So I created an account, came in there and like, hi fellas, what's going on? What's this mean? And fuck, and they were like, engaging, and it ended up, this character, Denmark character, his name was Webkiller. He was the local champion of the message board. He was the guy, when he says stuff, I don't think at the time he was necessarily the top mod or the top admin or whatever for it, but he was, he had a reputation, and when he said stuff, they like kind of let him have it. They were like, oh, Webkiller said it. It was that feel. It might not necessarily been exactly like that, but that was how he walked, and that was how they treated him. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to put all my attention on him since he's the local champion. So when he says, I made sure to like break down this post, and I responded to the best of my ability and just let him say what he wanted to say so I could like absorb this information. Now, for me, this was my first deep dive encounter with the foreign white supremacists and how he felt about my people, the Black American former slave class, in America in general. So his opinions were odd to me. Like, he didn't know stuff. He didn't know, I could, like, my white supremacists from my country, they speak in code. And I could tell what they know and what they don't know from that code. I can tell when you know the history and you're hiding, or when you just dumb and just parroting like talking points. I know the difference between my guys, the devil that I know. With this character, he had weird holes in his argument and in his rhetoric, and what he held on to aped some of what American white racists say. Like he, believed certain stuff and had big knowledge holes in other areas. It was strange arguing with him. I learned a lot from his mindset and stuff, but it was odd. Like, I didn't understand where his animosity was coming from. It's like, you don't even know me. You're in a completely different country. Had never been to America, but he had all this animosity about my people's struggle specifically. Like, who's you? It was weird, so I was like, in full, I would need to understand this. Who is this character? Now, experience has shown with arguing with this particular demographic in general that they don't care about the facts. They don't care about your posting links that back your. They could not care less. It's always a battle of wits. It's a battle of wits and a battle of rhetoric, So it was very fun. It was a fun, long argument with those guys, and he wasn't all by himself. Like his fellows were a support under him and were posting stuff too and stuff. But he was the guy. He was my primary target in it, and they ended up getting so upset. And I ended up touching on several things. It was the racism argument. They also tried to come at me and push my buttons from religion, but you are not that guy, Very few people deep dive into religion and can actually hit those points. Very few people. Most people are shallow as heck on the religion topic, So I'm like, this is easy. But eventually their buttons end up getting pushed enough where he decided to go ahead and make the formal Weapon of the People decoded bad webcomic page and just go full force attacking on it. You know what I mean? Just because, because I showed up and pushed their buttons, So at the end, it was interestingly, because I normally have a policy that with them in the act of argument, I'm not inclined to post links because I know you don't care. Your entire shtick is to lie and control the narrative and try to keep people in that narrative. It's never a formal, actual debate with the white racists. It's a battle of wits. They don't care about that. If I do post links and stuff to inside of the active argument there, it's only because I know I have a bigger audience and I need them as they're reading to see that because they're not directly connected to these people. But other than that, inside of this particular group's turf, where I know they didn't care, I wasn't going to do that, until I got to the end. And then the conversation went a different way. And one of his fellows, I think this guy was from Germany, he point blank asked me about why do I think racism is real or something like that. And then I posted my links showing the different things that happened in history, in a string. In fact, if you go to my blog at mrasheed.com, on the left-hand side, there's infinity gems is what I call those kinds of those links that show the articles talking about specific racism stuff against my people. So I grabbed, my Ready 6 for the Infinity Gauntlet and posted them there. They conspicuously ignored it and then banned me. At that point, after 50 pages, everything was good when there was the battle of wits. And they were like, haha, his hot takes and he's so crazy, blah, 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 blah. And then when I said, chuck, and they were like, oh, how dare you post the truth? This is a no truth zone. Ban. And pretended it was something else. During the discussion, it was another guy who came in and asked me my opinion about something with economics. So I told him my opinion about it. And he said, that's weird because the web killer said something different. And jokingly, I was like, oh, did he? Do I need to go all the way to Denmark and kick him to death? So when they banned me, they were like, you're being banned because you threatened somebody's life. It was evil. We have a no tolerance for, I'm like, oh, okay, really? Is that what happened? Because inside of those last 6 posts, what actually happened is I posted for the first time my definitive proof of what you're denying is real. And you could not take it. And then I was banned. That's what actually happened. But I expect you to lie because that's where you live. So what I want to do, because this smear campaign that Web Killer created about my work, he continuously updates it. He just updated it today, and I think on the 5th. He'll go to my blog, pull out certain stuff. Some stuff he won't touch, and the usual reasons. Even 4chan, there's certain stuff they like conspicuously like. It's hard to spin that. Better leave it alone. But other stuff that they feel they can spin, from the visual, they'll grab it. But this one, like, he comes in, is thick. He's like, he has this running narrative of stuff. And what I want to do to add to the content of these videos is start addressing the things he's saying in this thing. Fortunately, I always keep my feathers numbered for just such an emergency. So I have his entire thing like saved in my email in case he decides to like put some kind of block on it and keep me out of there. But I already got it. So I'm gonna go through and over the next, however, I'm not gonna do like it all the time, but occasionally I'm gonna come in there and scroll through, see something he says, and then smash it for the record. Now, I've already actually been doing this. Like, I've been going on there and seeing stuff and actually creating cartoons that address directly stuff he said. The character you see here wearing the character you see wearing the European Union sweater represents Web Killer. It's not what he actually looks like, but I don't care what he looks like. The Denmark happens to be in the EU, I believe. So, that's him. So whenever you see that character throughout my backlist of work, that's him. The kid from Denmark talking trash. So, his entire site, like the goofy part is that I went back to the site after being banned. Like, I infiltrated their stuff a couple of times just to mess with them. But at one of those times, one of the other members said he disagreed with making this page about my work after they'd already decided not to. Because he says there's no way this could be interpreted as any other way other than you being butthurt because you had this 50-page flame war with this guy. It makes you look bad. That's what this guy said. He was one of the members, So, but interestingly, they deleted the entire the entire thread at some point. He's pretending that so we were hacked and it was deleted and there was nothing I could do, and whatever story he came up with, it's a lie. It's a lie. Here's how you know it's a lie. Because inside of his thing, while he's talking about the background of it, he says, sadly, in June of 2021, the forum got hacked and wiped. And this means that the forum thread where all of this delicious drama and BS took place is lost for eternity. But suffice it to say, nothing I've claimed about Rashid regarding his statements have been embellished here. Meanwhile, literally the entire thing about my work is spin job nonsense from a white supremacist perspective. I want to touch on maybe a couple of them, maybe just one. But there's one he's mentioned twice in here. Interestingly, he mentions it twice. Like, there was one where I came across an article that was talking about people buying houses and the concept of when Black people get houses with a mortgage, you're in debt, but they treat it like, now we have a house. That's clearly a problem. This is part of the real estate grift. So I addressed that from that place. But he, in his spin job, he's saying that the black family. There was another article where this black family, they all came together and purchased this land, and with the intention of building like houses and stuff on the land. So he keeps saying that one cartoon that I made, critical of like the mortgage industry, is that I'm making fun of those blacks there. This is absolutely not the truth, but he keeps insisting upon it. Okay, that's an example of like him and trying to like drive this narrative he's concocted about me and my work. His entire thing is like that. So it's worth every now and again I'll grab one and dedicate a full video to that because it needs to be. Because this is the fact that he's continuously crawling on my site and like updating it continuously with his spin. That's a thing, and you've earned this attention, Whip Killer. Congrats, you made it. All right, so that's what this cartoon's about. All right, and thank you. Peace.